My mom is a has-been internet celebrity. She unexpectedly went viral again because of a video where she was chasing after me to feed me. After that, she happily started doing mukbang live streams with me. Netizens praised me, calling me a little quail who never gains weight. As I grew older, my figure gradually lost its shape. In the end, I became so overweight I couldn't even get out of bed, and my popularity hit rock bottom. My sister, who accidentally appeared on camera, was hailed as the austerity goddess due to her frail, slender frame from long-term malnutrition. In a fit of rage, my mother killed me. Welcome to Panda Storyboard. Put on your headphones, get cozy, and settle in. Let's enjoy this story together. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like. Now, let's begin. When I opened my eyes again, my mother was beaming with joy as she rushed over to hug my younger sister. She even knocked over my bowl of porridge and shot me a glare, saying, "You're not worth as much as a pig, yet you eat more than one. Not like your sister, who is basically a little goldmine." When I was little, I never had much of an appetite, but I was born with that baby fat, so while I was all round and chubby, you couldn't really call me overweight. If anything, I looked more like a delicate porcelain doll. Now, as for my younger sister, she was born premature, not only dark-skinned but also scrawny. She looked like a little hairless monkey. Even my own mother wasn't very affectionate toward her. At first, driven by a sense of moral obligation, my mother was still fulfilling her maternal duties toward my younger sister. Then one day, my mom forgot to turn off her camera after ending her live stream. Because the way she chased after me to feed me was utterly adorable, she became an overnight sensation. It became a hot topic of conversation among netizens. Having discovered the secret to online virality, my mom completely stopped looking after my younger sister. She gleefully started a mukbang channel with me. She gave no thought to whether a 6-year-old child actually needed to consume that much food. A few times while sleeping, I nearly choked to death on stomach acid that came up. But my mom not only didn't care, she doubled down on force-feeding me. She even filmed me eating and posted the videos in her fan group. See, Minora really is the cutest child in the world. Even the way she eats is just adorable. Instantly, it garnered countless likes and heated comments from netizens. This directly led to me hitting the 100-kilogram mark right after I came of age. Even walking became a struggle. Our popularity plummeted to rock bottom. It was my sister who was unexpectedly photographed by a passerby. With her frail and delicate appearance, she was hailed as the goddess of austere beauty. But by then, she'd long since cut off all ties with my mother. My mother swallowed her pride and went to see my sister, but was repeatedly turned away at the door. Finally, after being rejected once more, my mother, in a fit of rage that very night, injected a syringe of air into me and killed me. She was trying to fraudulently claim my life insurance. "You're fatter than a pig and worth less than one. What's the point of keeping you around? After all these years I've poured my heart and soul into you. How could you do this to me?" From the very beginning, she only ever saw me as a tool to make money. Yet all of this was labeled as a mother's love. I had no regrets. I wanted to say I had no regrets, but it was all too late now. The excruciating pain from the cardiac embolism left me speechless. "A promise can't be broken, Mom. Don't you realize how unfair you're being? After all, Mina is my daughter too. How heartbroken will she be when she grows up and learns her own grandmother played favorites?" When I opened my eyes again, my mother was holding my little sister tightly, speaking with righteous indignation. She insisted on sending me instead of my sister, who was originally supposed to go to Grandma's to help with the farm work. My mind was still foggy from sleep when a splash of scalding porridge hit me. My mother slapped the bowl of steaming porridge right off the table. She shot me a piercing glare. "Worth less than a pig, but you eat more than one." Perfect. She always eats the most, so she should have plenty of energy for the work. She said this as if she'd long forgotten that when I was a child, I hated eating more than anything. The only reason I became such a big eater was because she forced me. Yet at that moment, she, living on a leading lady's script, had already cast all of those thoughts aside. Beaming with pride, she was about to take my little sister to the amusement park. Seeing this, even though Grandma usually doted on me so much, she could only shake her head and take me back to the countryside. As we were parting, my gaze instinctively fell on my little sister in my mother's arms. The thought of her taking the place I once held in my past life made my heart ache, with a sharp, throbbing pain. I wondered what kind of obsession from our mother awaited her. Oblivious to it all, she blinked her big, watery eyes and waved goodbye to me. "Goodbye, sis. I'll bring you back a pretty doll when I return." The moment the words were out, my mother's face fell. Who cares about her? Nina is the real leading lady. With that, she swayed her hips and walked out the door, looking utterly pleased with herself. After Grandma brought me to the countryside, I often cut my fingers on corn leaves while working. But compared to my past life, I was living much more freely and joyfully. Grandma always doted on me, and seeing my injured fingers, her eyes brimmed with heartache. She insisted I go and rest on the side. How could I just stand by and watch her toiling alone in the fields? She just shook my head, said she was fine, and plunged right back into the fieldwork. The next time I saw my mother was in the hospital. Back then, I was suffering from anorexia due to my past life. No matter how lavish the meal was, I couldn't muster any appetite for it. Usually I only forced down a few bites out of consideration for my grandmother. Then one day, while I was busy watering the vegetable garden, my legs gave way, and I blacked out. In the end, my grandmother rushed me to the town hospital. When my mother arrived, my grandmother was sitting in the corridor, panting and exhausted from running all over the hospital. Seeing this, my mother couldn't help but curse at me. Born without a silver spoon, yet playing with a rich person's ailment, anorexia? Please, she's just a bore who can't stomach fine grain, Mom. Stop worrying about her. Might as well toss her out to scavenge from the trash. Let her go hungry for a few meals. We'll see if she's still picky then. My mom only held back from hitting me because my sister was there. Otherwise, on any other day, she would have slapped me a few times before letting it go. It was clear that my sister had been well taken care of by her lately. Her once scrawny figure had gradually filled out to a more balanced shape. She was dressed up like an exquisite princess. Thankfully, in this life, my mom changed course and didn't make my younger sister do mukbang. Instead, she adopted an aloof, goddess-like style. Only then did my heart, which had been hanging in suspense, settle down a little. To my surprise, as soon as my little sister saw me, she happily called out, "Sis," and handed me an exquisite doll. But then my mother snapped at her with a cold expression. The smile that had been on my sister's face instantly vanished. Grandma was so furious she nearly fainted. It took her a long moment to catch her breath before she pointed her finger and scolded. "What kind of mother are you? I'll let the menorah thing slide, but look at Nina. You've raised her to be such a brat. She doesn't have an ounce of a child's innocence." But my mother was completely unfazed. She didn't even bother replying, just grabbed my sister and left. As they walked away, I saw my sister turn back and wave at me, her eyes filled with reluctance. I waved back, tears stinging my eyes. This time, I promised myself I would protect her. Over the next few years, I stayed with Grandma in the countryside, while my mother pushed my sister into the spotlight. Videos of Nina appeared constantly on social media. My mother had crafted her into the perfect goddess child, delicate and ethereal, always eating barely anything on camera. But I knew the truth. I'd installed a hidden camera in their apartment before I left. I watched the footage late at night, watched my mother scream at Nina for eating too much, slap her for smiling wrong, force her to practice poses until she collapsed from exhaustion. Every time Nina accidentally appeared on camera looking frail and beautiful, it was because my mother had starved her for days beforehand. Every time she spoke softly and gracefully in videos, it was because my mother had beaten her into submission. I saved every video, I documented every bruise, every tear, every moment of abuse, and I waited. Years passed. Nina grew into a beautiful young woman, thin as a rail, famous across the internet. My mother's follower count had skyrocketed. She was now a major influencer, raking in sponsorship deals and appearance fees. Meanwhile, I'd grown into a healthy, normal-sized young woman. I'd gone to college, majored in film production, and learned everything I could about media, public relations, and the law. One day, Nina called me. "Sis," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I can't take it anymore. I want out." "I know," I said. "I've been waiting for you to be ready." We made a plan. Nina was nominated for a prestigious acting award, a ceremony that would be broadcast live to millions. My mother was ecstatic, already planning how to leverage Nina's success for more followers. The night of the ceremony arrived. Nina looked stunning in her gown, though I could see how thin she'd become. My mother sat in the audience, phone in hand, ready to live stream every moment. Nina won. The crowd erupted in applause. My mother beamed, standing up as if she were the one being honored, her excitement practically bubbling over. I proudly forwarded the live recording to our family group chat with the caption, "The stars shine on those who journey through the night." Nina then lifted the trophy, exchanged a glance with me, and began her acceptance speech. To achieve what I have today, the first person I must thank is my mom. Upon hearing this, my mother was so moved that she immediately burst into tears. She then held up her phone and started a live stream. However, at that moment, my sister took off her coat, revealing a series of shocking scars. I owe who I am today to my mother and to the 303 scars she gave me. When I heard the number my sister revealed, even though I'd known in advance, I was still stunned. After a brief silence, a torrent of camera flashes instantly swallowed my sister's figure like a raging beast. My mother panicked at that moment, tossing her phone aside and gritting her teeth as she tried to climb onto the stage. But she was stopped by the security personnel surrounding her. "Nonsense. She's talking nonsense. I'm her mother. Would I ever do anything to harm her? I was just trying to do what's best for her, giving her a little lesson, wasn't it? Because she's never been good enough." Yet, even as she strained her voice to the breaking point, it was still drowned out by the roaring crowd. Meanwhile, at my signal, the backstage staff began playing the video recording. What they wanted was a goal my sister and I shared without prior discussion. As a result, the organizers were surprisingly easy to deal with. The video was captured by a hidden microcamera I'd planted, while my sister and mom were out. In the footage, my sister merely changed a single line of dialogue based on her own interpretation. For that, my mom made her kneel in the living room as punishment, wielding a rolling pin as thick as a forearm. She struck her in places that wouldn't show. Even as my little sister kept sobbing apologies, promising she'd never dare do it again, my mother still wouldn't let go of her hair. Her eyes gleamed with a vicious light, like some malevolent demon. "Who gave you the right to change the lines? If you're so full of sympathy, why don't you spare a little for your own mother? If you had any real talent for directing or screenwriting, would I be killing myself day in and day out, running around to all these gigs with you?" This kind of scenario played out over a dozen times in just 3 short days. If her younger sister's expression was even slightly off, she would whip her. "A proper smile doesn't show your teeth. Don't show your teeth when you smile. How can you be so forgetful? Are you just a glutton for punishment?" Seeing the image of my sister being abused on the backdrop filled me with rage. I wanted to tear my mother apart, but a single look from my sister stopped me. She kept shaking her head at me, and only then did I snap out of it. The scenes in the video caused an uproar in the room. My mother's actions had long crossed the line from discipline into outright abuse. Soon after, the police were notified and promptly arrived on the scene. Seeing this, my sister spoke up, bringing the whole farce to a close. She bowed respectfully to the audience, then looked with tear-filled eyes at my mother, who was being restrained by the police. "First, I apologize for my personal matters taking up public resources. Second, as a way of thanking my mother for her upbringing, I have decided to file a lawsuit." Even at this moment, my mother was still staring at her in disbelief. She flailed her arms wildly, trying to break free from the crowd. Gritting her teeth, she clawed frantically at the empty air. She kept shouting, "Minora, Nina, you two, come here, explain this properly to the police. It's all a misunderstanding." But no matter how she raged, my sister and I didn't move an inch. In an instant, she felt as though countless threads in her hands had suddenly snapped. Her entire body went limp. She kept murmuring under her breath, "This can't be." Just as she seemed to have a sudden realization, a light flickered in her eyes. My sister continued, "Mom, the acceptance letter is fake. I applied for the fine arts program, not the acting department." At that moment, the last glimmer of light in my mother's eyes faded away. Like a walking corpse, she was led out of the venue and shoved into a police car. The medical examination report indicated that the nerve at the tip of my younger sister's right little finger had necrotized, reaching the threshold for a disability rating. My mother was formally charged by the police with the crime of intentional assault. Just before the trial was set to begin, the lawyer she hired approached my grandmother. He hoped that as a family member, she would provide a letter of forgiveness. But Grandma just said over the phone, "She stopped seeing me as her mother long ago. How can I still call her my daughter?" Then she hung up the phone, lost in a deep sense of melancholy. My younger sister and I were both admitted to universities in the same city. Though we didn't get into the same school, we all switched to being day students and brought Grandma to live with us. On the day of the trial, Grandma was there too. My mother was sentenced to 4 years in prison for intentional assault. Throughout the entire proceeding, Grandma never said a word. It wasn't until the bailiffs led my mother away that she finally began to wipe her tears, lost in her own sorrow. My sister and I could only stand by her side, gently soothing her, over and over again. By the time we saw our mother again, my sister and I had both graduated from university. We'd stepped into the world and were beginning to make our mark in various fields. The day my mother showed up at our door, our family was happily making dumplings together. The house was bought with money my sister had earned from her earlier acting work. When my mother appeared, the smiles froze on everyone's faces, but we still invited her in for a meal. During those years in prison, my mother had tormented herself into a state of near madness. She only remembered our grandmother. She didn't recognize my sister or me at all. After the meal, her eyes fell upon the doll my sister had given me all those years ago. Her eyes, which had been dull and lifeless, suddenly lit up. She pointed at the doll with trembling fingers and asked, "Could I have this, please? Venora and Nina love this one the most." My younger sister looked at me. I gave a nod, and she then handed the doll to my mom. As we were saying goodbye, she packed up some dumplings, giggling a bit foolishly, as she said she'd take them back for Venora and Nina. In the end, Grandma couldn't bear to abandon her and took her back to the countryside. She simply said, "After all, she's my own flesh and blood. No matter how foolish she is, I can't just stand by and watch her starve on the streets." My sister and I still go back to the countryside from time to time to visit Grandma. The troubles of the past are no longer enough to defeat us. That day, my sister and I bought some new appliances for Grandma. We also taught her how to use a smartphone and send messages on WeChat. On the way back, the sky was a brilliant, cloudless blue. My sister and I exchanged a knowing smile. Gazing at the azure sky, I said, "Let's go for a walk." But she pouted, feigning reluctance. "But I still have work to do." Seeing my raised eyebrow, she broke into a mischievous grin. "Forget it. Let's just go. Nothing can hold us back anymore." Indeed. Now, nothing can stand in our way. We've all become the people we wanted to be.